handcuffs clicked around her wrists with a sound that echoed louder than the accusations themselves. Officers whispered, faces tight with suspicion. "You're claiming to be a Navy SEAL?" one asked, disbelief cutting sharp as the metal binding her. She didn't flinch, but inside, her chest tightened with a mixture of frustration and anticipation. They didn't know her. They didn't see the truth hidden beneath her sleeves, the proof inked into her skin. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're re-watching from. I love knowing who is listening." Lieutenant Commander Raina Vega had spent years in shadows others never dared enter. Her missions were classified, her victories unrecorded in public files. Today, in a sterile office, crowded with law enforcement and whispers, none of that mattered. All that mattered was perception, and perception was dangerously wrong. The room smelled of cold coffee and polished floors, mixed with the faint tang of fear from the officers who had no idea what they were handling. Cuffs were tight, but she barely noticed. Her focus was on the faint edges of the tattoo peeking from beneath her sleeve. A mark earned through fire, strategy, and sacrifice. It was her story in ink, a silent declaration that screamed only to those trained to understand. "Lieutenant Commander Vega," the lead officer began, voice hesitant. "You're under arrest for impersonating military personnel. What do you have to say for yourself?" She inhaled slowly. She could explain, but these explanations were never simple. They required context, experience, and proof, none of which they had, nor could they immediately comprehend. "I'm not impersonating anyone," she said calmly. "I served. I still serve." Murmurs rippled through the room. Some faces betrayed skepticism. Others, faint curiosity. None dared to approach the tattoo yet. Raina's thoughts drifted back to her first deployment. The heat, the dust, the uncertainty. Every mission she'd led, every choice she'd be made in fractions of a second to save lives, it all lived on her skin. Each line, each symbol, each curve of the ink held meaning. They didn't see that now. They couldn't see what she had sacrificed or survived. Minutes felt like hours. Officers shuffled papers. Phones buzzed silently. Tension tightened like a coiled wire waiting for a spark. That spark arrived in the form of the Admiral's entrance. He moved slowly, deliberately, eyes scanning the room before resting on her. Something in the air shifted. Even the fluorescent light seemed to dim under the weight of his gaze. Officers straightened instinctively, as if the very walls recognized authority. "Commander Vega," he said quietly, voice measured but carrying a subtle intensity. "May I see your arm?" She extended her sleeve, revealing the tattoo in its entirety. It was intricate, a sealed trident entwined with dates, mission codes, and symbols known only to those who had walked the line between life and death. The ink told a story of real operations, real danger, and real leadership. The Admiral's eyes softened, a fraction of awe mixed with recognition. He traced the lines with his gaze, every mark sparking memories he had lived through himself. The room held its breath. Officers exchanged nervous glances. Raina remained still, the calm eye in a storm of suspicion. "This is authentic," the Admiral said finally, voice steady, cutting through the uncertainty like a blade. "She isn't posing. She's one of us. Always has been." Shock rippled through the room. The officers who had doubted her shifted, suddenly aware of the weight of their misjudgment. Some lowered their heads in silent apology, others in awe. The cuffs were removed almost reverently, the metallic sound replaced by the gentle brushing of fabric as her sleeves fell into place. Raina inhaled again, feeling the release of tension, like a tide retreating from the shore. She had been tested in ways far beyond this room, and yet the principle remained the same. Truth, when it could finally be seen, demanded respect. The moral tension lingered for a moment. Could they have acted differently? Should suspicion have turned to restraint, caution, or inquiry? The Admiral's presence reminded everyone that authority carries responsibility, not just the right to judge, but the duty to recognize what is real. Later, in a quieter room, the Admiral spoke to her privately. "I've seen many come and go, some pretending, some faltering. You've earned your place, Commander, not by proving it to them, but by being unwavering, even in silence." Raina nodded. Words felt unnecessary. She had lived through missions where approval was irrelevant. Today's acknowledgment, though delayed, felt profound. By the time the officers filed out, whispers of astonishment lingered like shadows. Respect had replaced doubt. Curiosity had given way to reverence. And the tattoo, the silent testament of years spent in service, stood as undeniable proof of truth, courage, and sacrifice. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. As Raina looked around the now-empty office, she reflected on the irony. Suspicion had nearly obscured honor, yet the proof had been right there on her skin all along. The story of her service, quiet but unshakable, would remain visible not just in ink, but in the hearts of those who finally recognized it. If this story moved you, share where you're listening from, and subscribe to Whispered Words for more tales of courage, resilience, and the heroes whose true strength is often hidden in plain sight.